go headphones, no headphones, your call.
Can I hear myself?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, you don't like that? Okay,
No
no
thanks.
headphones. No. I had. Do you know Angel McCumber?
Yes.
I had Angel on, and she was like, "Oh, let's not go.
Yeah,
with
I'd
I
rather
don't
not.
want to hear myself." And I was like, "Okay,
And
that's
it was actually
understandable."
really funny because I did listen to a little bit of that episode with her, and I was like, she gave me like really good tips on how to talk about my job, because I was like I like that idea of I work at a place
Yeah,
with people.
with other people.
Uh-huh.
Occasionally answer the phone.
Yeah.
Other people occasionally come in. It's
So that's what I
pretty
do.
normal. Okay, well, that takes that off the table. Okay. Would you mind just pulling that a little bit closer to your mouth? Yeah, perfect.
You have like a very official setup. Like
It's-
when I did my podcast, it was not this fancy.
It's definitely not fancy.
I mean, but
it's a work in progress.
What I mean by fancy is like we had like maybe one that looked like this that was like on a tripod that you had to precariously do, and like you couldn't touch anything around you or it would be really loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. What was it about?
So I went to Chico State, and so I have a bachelor's in psychology.
Oh, you graduated.
Uh-huh.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, graduated on my couch. It was great.
Zoom University. I can appreciate it.
So I have a bachelor's in psych, and I did this internship that I started like working for there, and it was called You Matter, and it was like mental health outreach and suicide prevention and stuff like that on campus. And so we would do a podcast, and I started out by like, even when I was like the like manager, I guess, of the group, when we first started doing it, I would just be on like as a guest every so often, and then when it we changed over, I was like the host, and I edited and did all of it.
Oh, wow.
And
So
edited
you're a professional.
and posted and did all of it. So
The editing is ridiculous.
I've spent many of hours editing out the and the giggles and the the awkward spots.
I can appreciate that.
All of that. So yeah,
You're braver than I am. I just leave it in. I don't have the time to go through and just edit all of that.
I'm such a perfectionist that I was like, no, this can't work.
Yeah,
I can't.
Was it just mental health awareness, or
it was mainly so we would do like outreach on campus and stuff, and then do talks about like importance of self-care and the stress of college, because it's very stressful,
especially now with everything going on,
and do all of that kind of stuff. And we went really hard and heavy because we did actually have a suicide on campus
at Chico
while I was there.
Oh, wow.
It was really crazy, and so we went really hard and heavy while I was there, because I think I was like, is it my sophomore year or my junior year maybe? And so that's like when I got into it. And so we were like, this really need to do stuff.
Was the climate just kind of not there on campus?
It
support-wise?
It was, but also something that I had to always remind myself, and that Jake was very good about reminding me of, my boyfriend, that I surrounded myself with people who were accepting of mental health and like who had open conversations about that, because that's what I did. Like I didn't have a problem walking up to somebody who was like crying on a bench and being like, what's going on? Like that didn't bug me. Whereas I feel like most people would be like, that's your own business.
Yeah, I'm going to just keep it moving that
There's
way.
other people around. No.
Yeah.
So like I always thought that it was like a very like supportive environment, and that's how I feel like everywhere I go. But I also, we surround ourselves with like-minded people everywhere we go. So I would say so, but that would be from my own little bubble. I mean, people were definitely would make fun in him and Ha, and we would have to be like, this is a really serious topic. Like, I mean, we have to make it quote unquote fun, like with memes and shit to lighten the mood, because nobody wants to be like, okay, suicide. Like,
it's a hard topic to just kind of
and so I feel like it's like even your reaction just now, like, it's a scary word. But I mean, I probably should be careful with how I don't really, I mean, it doesn't bug me.
No, it doesn't bother me either. I think the hardest part too is, even if the resources are there, you have to get people to take advantage of the resources, which is like an even bigger hurdle. Yeah,
it's really, really hard to get people, to take advantage of it. Or, even if you were like, here's all these things, like I would say a really common thing is that like, okay, well, there are other people that are worse off than me, or other people that have more mental health issues than I do. So like, I'm not worthy of those resources, I guess, is what a lot of people think. And like even myself at times think, I'm like, there are other people with really, really big issues. Like, you do not need to take up a spot in therapy for your very easy but semi-stressful life. But I mean, I'm a huge therapy advocate. I'm like, everybody should go to therapy. My boyfriend is like, no. No, they don't. They don't need to go. But yeah, so that's what I do.
Yeah, it's that idea of like being a burden, which is kind of hard for most people to be like, okay, I can take the time, I can go and seek some help, and it's not the end of the world.
Work on yourself.
So that's what got you kind of involved, was that incident?
Yeah. So I was involved before. I mean, I went in, and interestingly enough, I was thinking about it because I was like, what the hell am I going to talk about, like, with Nick? Like, there's so many things.
We've got, like, I don't know, 14 years worth of crap
where we
catch
haven't
up on.
seen each other forever. And like I said, the only person that I've talked to, like, since middle school is Josie, because she's been my best friend since birth. So, like, she's the only person that I talk to. And even there, it's, like, few and far between that we hang out. Now that I moved back, we talk a lot more. But people, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that, like, psychology and, like, wanting to be in, like, the mental health field is, like, my longest and most steady relationship that I've ever had, aside from my current partner. But, like, that's been the one thing that, like, all my life hasn't really changed. Like, that's always what I wanted to do in some way or fashion. And so got my bachelor's and got that all done. And I work I guess technically I'm not in the mental health field, but I think of what I do as, like, in the mental health field, but also within the criminal justice system. So I work in those two avenues that intersect a lot at a place with people
that will remain unnamed.
Right.
So are you offering, like, support?
Yeah, in ways, yeah, it's just safer to not talk about.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to dig too deep in it, but I was like, okay, well, that's an interesting cross-section.
I offer support. I mean, I've always been interested in, like, criminal justice and stuff too, but more so of like in a crime junkie kind of way, where I'm like, yes, tell me all of the docuseries and all of the serial killers. I want it all. Like, I've always really been into that too. So it's a really good, like, cross-section that I'm in right now, where I get to work in really, really heavily in the criminal justice system. But I think of it as, like, also working with mental health, because it's a very vulnerable population that I work with, and being a support during a really vulnerable time is really, really cool. It's very vague, but
still, that's awesome that you kind of found your spot and have been riding it out.
It's super cool. Yeah, and I got really, really lucky because it was actually the first job that I applied for, like, back in July of last year. Was the very first job that I applied for, and I was like, yeah, let's shoot for the fucking stars, you know. Probably won't get this, you know. I'll probably be, like, a receptionist at a dental office or something, like. Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then I got an interview with them, and I was like, no fucking way.
Man.
I was like, this is so cool. And then, yeah, I went through all those rounds and stuff, so that was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How do you like being back in... Are you in Eureka?
I work in Eureka,
okay.
But I'm living in Blue Lake, technically McKinleyville, but it's in Blue Lake. Yeah, I live in Blue Lake. We moved back in June. And we lived with my partner's parents up in Blue Lake for 6 months. Fun.
Oh, yeah. A blast.
There were, how many of us? 6 of us in a house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it was me and him.
So everybody was very friendly.
Yeah, it was me and him and his twin brothers, and then his parents, and then their dogs and our dog.
Oh, man.
But they're awesome. It was actually really fun, but it was like, we've been together for 7 years, so we kind of need our own space.
Yeah.
This would be cool. So we moved, and we're renting a place, like, 2 minutes away from his parents' house, like, cool. Right down the road, like, on the hill above Christie's pumpkin patch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we're out there. So, like, it's technically McKinleyville, but it's fucking Blue Lake.
Yeah. I'd classify that as Blue Lake.
I can cuss, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I've just been letting it go.
You're good. Yeah, this is a podcast, you can say.
There's
no censorship here. Yeah, you're fine.
But, yeah, so we live out there. It's a really awesome little spot, and it's got a big yard for our dog and everything, so.
Oh, cool.
It's cool.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been... What, middle school is probably the last time we've we've really talked.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is crazy. I ran into Josie actually.
She told me that. Yeah,
like
she was
2
like,
or
I
3
just
days
saw
ago.
Nick.
Yeah, she was getting the vaccine and we
Uh-huh.
chatted for a minute, and it was weird because I hadn't seen Josie in God since probably high school.
Right.
Which is
This
even
like 4 years ago.
Yeah, but it feels
which is
like
weird.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what?
This is super
What
weird.
is happening? Yeah, right. I keep looking at you and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually Michala.
Yeah.
It's crazy how like you don't appreciate it when you're younger, but life really just goes. Especially when you're out of school, it just goes.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what just happened?
Yeah,
like,
I try
where
not
are
to
we
think
right
about
now?
it a lot. It makes me want to cry.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
so sad. Like all of our friends from Chico, because we have like this big group chat with all of our, like me and Jake's friends that we hung out with. And like all of us will randomly be like, we didn't fucking appreciate college, dude. Yeah. Like, this sucks. Like all of us are in jobs that like we like and we're all happy, you know, but we're like, we could have done so much more crazy shit when we had like an excuse to do crazy shit.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, we can't just go. I mean, I have to really think about it and plan if I want to go for a river day now. Like, am I mentally prepared to go and have a river day? Like,
can I afford to kill a whole day?
Right? Can I afford to lose a whole day? How dirty is the house going to be when I get back? Okay. Have I completely unwinded from my work week? No. Another thing that's plagued me that I didn't think about before taking this job, although I love my job.
Let's just throw that in there real quick.
Throw that in there.
It's a great job.
Love my job. I can't like go and get drunk on the weekend if I want to. Not that I did that a lot anyway, but like I went and had mimosas with Josie a couple of weeks ago, and like I didn't get drunk, but I was like tipsy, you know, and there weren't like any people around, but I was like, God forbid somebody saw me in public stumble getting to the car where I had a designate. I did everything responsibly, but I was like freaking out to Jake. I was like, what if somebody saw me and called my boss? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I can't even go and do that kind of stuff, which is really stressful. So I gotta do it in my house now, which I guess is probably safer. But
that's crazy. I was talking with Angel about that kind of thing too.
I thought it's crazy.
I thought that was you guys
so
say that.
funny because I was listening to her and I was like, "Oh my God, we're like the same."
Yeah, I can relate. It's weird. It's just weird that is where we are now. Where like even if you're responsible and you're drinking and you have a DD and you're doing everything you're supposed to, if like one wrong moment and somebody caught that, it could get a little sideways.
It could ruin everything, which is crazy. But I mean,
it's crazy.
But I mean, it's crazy, but in a way, like I get it. I think it depends. I think the severity of like that being a consequence should depend on like the position that you're in. Like if you're just, you know, like a receptionist or a barista or whatever. Like if I was working at Starbucks still, because I worked at Starbucks when I was in high school, like I wouldn't care. Like.
Yeah, it's Starbucks.
I give you lattes in the morning. Like I'm still functioning to give you a latte. You're fine. Like, so what? I'm hungover. It doesn't matter. But like, so I don't think that like for that kind of stuff, there's no reason to get in trouble or like even lower level things, whatever. But I think with my job, and then I assume what Angel's job is like you're in the public eye. Like people see you, people know who you are, you meet with people, and you're that person's like resource of like safety and security and stuff. So I think while I don't necessarily agree that it should taint it that much, I can see how that could taint it and like that could be an issue. But
it makes sense, right? I mean, imagine if you were going to a therapist and you go out one night and you see your therapist shit-faced, just stumbling, just hanging out, and nothing inappropriate happens or anything, but then
you're like, you're a different person
okay,
now.
Like it's like seeing your teacher outside of school when you're a kid. You're like, oh, weird. You don't live in
you don't live
middle
there?
School? Like what? Where? I thought you just stayed here. Like you actually go out to the grocery store?
It's not all you do is just read lessons to us and teach things.
What is this?
You're a person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's that weird aspect, right? But you shouldn't be punished for it.
Right.
I mean, if you are on your own time.
Right. Doing your own thing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you should be. I mean, because everybody else does it. So why hold you? But I get where they come from, but it's scary. That scares me.
It is scary. Yeah, I was freaking out. And Jake was like, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, but it weighs.
He's like, you weren't dancing
on
tables, none of that. I said, I didn't. I said, not that I have ever done that. But,
yeah.
I said, I don't know. I know my face was very red. I know I was slurring. I was having a good time. Voices were coming out that were not mine. I was having a good time. But I was like, oh, you can't even let loose out in public. But I mean, it's probably not the right climate to be letting loose in the public anyway.
Do you feel like that's more of you putting that pressure on you, or do you feel like that does stem from the job a little bit?
It's mostly pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm a perfectionist and I really, really care about what people think about me. I've let go of it a little bit, but I still really, really care what people think about me. But then I know part of it is like just my job of like kind of like the motherly thing, like we'll find out.
Yeah.
We will find out. So which is like, I know you will. Like I know you will find out. So yeah, that's why I was like, and it was funny. I was actually really glad that I listened to a little bit of the episode with Angel, because I was like, how am I going to talk about what I do and like that kind of stuff without like potentially getting in trouble or whatever. And so as soon as she said I work at a place, I was like, yep, that's
my line.
That's also
that's
where
my
I
go-to.
work. I also work at a place.
Yeah, you guys work together, don't you? It's like the same area.
I also work at a place. I was like, I have suspicions on probably where she works, but I don't know.
It worries me, that level of censorship, and I get it. Like, I get why. I'm totally for people doing that. Like, if I came on a podcast, I'd be like, okay, maybe let's check a few things, right? We don't want to go too deep into some wormholes, but at the same time, in expressing those ideas and in communicating that with other people, I feel like it can help you. Like, if you're down a rabbit hole, it can help bring you back. If you think something that might be a little crazy, it can kind of reel you back in a little bit, and vice versa too. If you're too stringent on some ideas, it'll open you up a little bit more. Yeah. But nobody wants to talk about it because one wrong word and
you're out.
Yeah. There's no forgiveness today.
And you can be out so easy. And yeah, that's really, I would say, like, one of the weirdest things about this job is that I've never had like the hierarchy that I have in this job now, where I have to think about that, like, oh, this happened, I have to, like, I should probably tell this person, whereas before I'd be like, I handled it, it's okay, like, I don't need to, but you do have to tell, like, everybody about certain things. And then it's not a job where as a barista I could come home and be like, this customer and this craziness,
start talking
and
shit,
da-da-da-da-da, like, just to get it off of my chest. Whereas I come home now and I'm like, today was hard.
That's it. It was just not that great.
Today was good. Today was hard. Like, and so that's weird, but I've gotten used to it. Like, it was definitely really weird in the beginning because Jake was so used to me being like, oh, and what about, this customer and whatever, and your regulars and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm like, today's hard. And he's like, okay.
It's a little more confidential.
Yeah, 100%. And so I'm like, today was hard. He's like, okay, you want a hug? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm good. It's good. Yeah, that's all I could do. But it's really nice to have, I mean, everybody at my work is like really supportive, and it's actually really nice that if they see me getting overwhelmed, they're like, you good? And I don't feel like it's one of those like, hey, how you doing? Oh, let me tell you your problems. Oh, I didn't really want that much information. Like one of those kind of things. It's definitely like, hey, is everything okay? And I could be like, no, like I need help. Or I can be like, yeah, I'm totally fine. Like I'm just stressed for a second, but I'm good. So that's really nice.
It's a more supportive climate.
Super.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that very often.
No. It's super, super rare. And I even told my boss the other day, I was like, this leadership level and like what you do is super, super rare. Like it's not normal. And I was like, and I love it. I am here for it. But it's not normal. So I was like, and me and a coworker both come from like a place of like retail-ish kind of, where it's like, can I please maybe have time off to go and do this really important thing with my family? And they're like, no. Whereas we're like, can we go get like, I have a haircut at lunch and it might run a little bit over. If it does, I'll stay 5 minutes late. And they're like, no. Like, so?
Yeah.
Your haircut is your self-care. Do what you gotta do. Like, do whatever you need. Where I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, I can do things for myself during my job? Weird.
And not feel bad about it.
Yeah, and like not feel bad. I still feel bad, but I'm getting over it a little bit, but I haven't been there all that long, so I've been there for like 6 months.
Okay.
So yeah, I just started in October, but
wow. That's cool. Is it hard though, not being able to? Because I've always wondered with jobs where you have those confidentiality agreements. Is it hard not like expressing that to your partner?
It can be difficult at times. I mean, are certain things that like I've double checked like with my boss and stuff of like, hey, this happened today, or certain things, or they'll let me know like if we're having a conversation, this is something that can be shared, or and if it's not something that can be shared, they're very explicit of like this does not leave this room, and I'm like, okay, cool. And so I can't really talk about like anything about my day really, unless it was something like that I saw outside or something like that I saw, or something that doesn't really have to do with me that's like completely public information, or if it's like me and my coworkers are talking about like a news article, I can like bring up that news article and like tell him what we said about the news article, but we can't talk about like
anything work related.
So nothing work related. So I mean, and I've gotten really used to now just being like, today was hard, or today was good, or like, how was your day? Was good. And like that being pretty much it. It is hard with my family though, because my family and him, but he's really, really good about respecting like my privacy and everything like that. But with my family, not so much. So they'll see something and they'll be like, are you involved with this one? And I'm like, I can't, even if I was, I can't tell you yes or no. I can't tell you anything. But because they know like what it is that I do, and like kind of not like how it works, but they know more explicitly what it is that I do, because I told them one before I got the job, and then of course when I got the job I was like, this is what I get to do. Like, this is so cool. So now when they see things that kind of pertain to my job, they're like, are you
wink nudge nudge?
And I'm like, no. I can't tell you anything. But my stepmom is actually really, really good about it, whereas like my dad or my grandpa will be like, hey, I saw this, do you have any information? And she's like, she can't tell you that. And so she's my little bulldog for me for that.
Oh,
where
that's good.
she's like, she can't talk about it, Jay. Whereas I'll be like, I can't really say anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered about that, because there are a lot of jobs, surprisingly, there are a lot of jobs out there that are like that. And it just seems it takes, I mean, in a weird way, it takes a lot of communication to kind of counteract that. Like, you have to find the balance of, okay, we can't talk about this, but like, we still have to be open and communicate with each other.
Yeah. So if something's like really, really difficult for me, like if I have like, like an episode or something like that at work, or something like really broke me down, then I can be like, I can tell like my partner, like, I had a really, really hard day. Like I had a breakdown. Like I can't obviously tell you about what, because it pertains to the confidentiality aspect, but like I had a breakdown. Like today was hard. Like something really, really hit me. And then like he can be, just supportive and like hugs and,
Yeah, just kind of be there.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And I mean, like I said, my coworkers and stuff like that are really supportive in that way too, where I could be like, I just had a breakdown. Like that, for whatever reason, was too much for me. And they'll, sit down and to take the time and talk with me about it and stuff, which is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, because I mean, on top of that, like was really scared of being like, oh my God, like if you have a breakdown, or like if you shed a few tears or whatever for what's going on, like, well, you can't handle it, so why are you in this job? So I had to be like, it was weird trying to juggle the vulnerability, but also being like, but I can handle it. But like, I've never had to handle this before, so it's gonna take me a second. They're like, yeah, of course it will. Like you were a barista before this. Like, it's very different.
It's kind of changed.
Yeah, like all I've ever done before as like a job other than like internships and shit was a barista, and then I did sales for a while.
Oh wow.
And so yeah, I've done all different kinds of stuff. But yeah, so I mean,
nothing like this.
No. So I had like, yeah, I've had stress where it's broken me down. I don't think anything's broken me down more than sales. Oh my God, sales broke me down. So many sleepless nights over that stuff.
Really?
Oh my God, it was so stressful. but I was good at it. But it was so stressful.
What were you selling?
I have a minor in business marketing.
Okay.
And so it wasn't necessarily like what I was selling, but it was within the classes that I had to and could take. At Chico, there were classes that had like sales role play in them, and so like prepping for those kinds of things stressed me out because perfectionism. I need to plan for like every possible scenario of what they're going to throw at me. And I have to, know everything, what to say back in response to pretty much anything and everything that they could say to me. So I've done sales role plays for like multiple things. And then I did 2 different sales internships. I worked for Aflac for like 3 months. That was terrible. And then I worked for Henry Schein Dental for a summer and moved down to Sacramento for a summer and worked for them. That was really cool. But within the sales like classes and stuff, we had to do sales role plays for I had to sell what the hell was it? It was like alcohol what's that called? Like displays, like for Labor Day, I think it was. Like I had a store layout, and then I had the different kinds of alcohol, and I had to, pitch to a Safeway manager who like where these displays were going to go based off of certain parameters and whatever. And there were it was E&J Gallo, because it was Gallo, E&J Gallo's alcohols was what it was. And so I had to do that, and then like everybody in the class was doing it, and they rack and stack you in front of everybody, so everybody gets to see where everybody fell, and who's in first and second and dead fucking last. And so I did well on that, and then I was invited to do like a sales competition where we sold ADP like payroll system, and all of it's fake. And so did ADP role play, and I got third in that out of 12 of us, and so I got money for that.
Oh, whoa.
And then because of that, I got invited to be on the team that did a national sales competition in Dallas. And we sold AT&T things, and it was a team of 5 of us. And we went down to Dallas fully paid. So that was like the best part of sales, was that there were so many perks to sales. Like you get so many free trips and free stuff and cool things and whatever. You get to meet powerful ass people. But we went down to Dallas, all expenses paid, for a weekend, which was really cool. And it was first like 36 schools like across the US that competed in like a virtual role play thing. So like the people were on a screen, and we were sitting around a table, and we sold to these people that were in Dallas, and then we passed. And so then it was out of 12 schools, and then we won the whole thing. And so then our school got 10 grand, and we each got 2 grand. So that was cool.
That's a nice little perk.
Yeah. So that's where I would like everybody within like my sales family and my sales team was like, you should do this, like you're really really good at it. And I was like, I'm on the verge of throwing up like the entire time that I'm like prepping and doing it. And like when I'm in the sales role play, I black out, like I don't even remember, and I just wake up and I'm like, hopefully that was good, I don't know, like we'll
just find out.
Yeah, we'll see. So I was like, no, I can't do that. Like I would deteriorate to nothing by like 50. So, and that would be terrible. But that was a fun little track I took off. Yeah, for a little bit.
It's good that you recognize that though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they find something they're good at, and regardless of whether they enjoy it or not, they just keep going down that path. I was like,
absolutely not. But everybody in my family was like, yeah, do it, you can make a lot of money. I'm like, I don't care. Like that's not what I'm doing my life for. I mean, that'd be nice. I wish that like the mental health field and stuff made more money, but it doesn't. But that's what I like doing.
Do you think that's unique to our generation? That idea of doing something that you love?
I would think so. I wish it wasn't. But I would think so, that it's more so our generation. I mean, granted, I've seen a lot of people around. I've had a lot of people around me that are super money hungry and, you know, don't care what it is and they're miserable. But I think the majority of people, at least that I'm around, are like, fuck it, like this is what I want to do and I don't care, you know, if it makes a lot of money. I mean, of course, if I had an opportunity to like have a job that paid higher, if, you know, I went back and got a master's or something, then heck yeah. I get to learn more about the field that I like and I get more money. Sign me up.
Score.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, I think that it is probably more geared towards our generation. I don't know why.
That's the thing, right? I can't figure out why it's that way.
And I mean, I don't know why either, that like our generation is just like, we've had enough of this shit. Like, just in general, you know, like, we're over it. Things are changing now. Like, I don't know what it is about our generation, because I feel like I don't know if it's that a lot of our parents are, like, were kind of more open-minded when they raised us, or if our generation's parents were so close-minded that we were like, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is, although I can't really speak to the general population of parents because my parents are really young. So
I definitely think, I mean, some of it at least stems from parenting for sure. You know, I've talked to a lot of older people, older than me. I shouldn't say like not like 80 or 90,
right.
But older people, and some of them have, after going down a path, they've kind of reevaluated their life and been like, okay, I want to do something that I enjoy, but it's usually later in life. Like they've already made their money, they're already successful.
Yeah. I feel like that's the time that most people do it. They're like, I already got my money.
But it's like you already put in 40 years of your life doing something that you don't enjoy. And I don't understand where the disconnect is between us and them, where they're like, but I had to. And we're like, but I don't want to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's that weird,
like,
I don't know if that
had no other choice. And it's like, well, you probably did. But, you know, you're raised in a society at the time that said you have no other choice. And you were just like, okay.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's more societal pressure than anything.
Maybe.
Because right now it's just a cluster. Yeah. And people are like, do whatever. You want to dress up like a unicorn and work at McDonald's? Do it. You're fine.
It's going to go to shit anyway.
Yeah. So maybe that's it. Maybe our attitude is just like, you know what? This is all a game anyway. We're already on a downhill trend. Yeah. We're just not worried.
Might as well have fun while we're dying.
Yeah. While the planet's warming and it's a shit show. I'm going to do what I like.
Yeah.
But it's a weird idea.
Yeah, it is a weird idea. But, yeah, I don't know what
That's cool that you found that, though.
Yeah, I really do like it. And, yeah, I've been really, really blessed with, like, my boss and, like, my boss's kind of mentality of, you know, like, family comes first. And if, you know, anything happens, like, if I purposefully didn't tell them, like when something, because it wasn't really something bad necessarily, but one of my partner's relatives passed away, but they weren't like super connected and like he wasn't really beat up about it. And so I was just like, I'll bring food, you know, when I get home and like, we'll just hang out. But I purposefully didn't tell them that had happened. I told one of my coworkers, but I purposely didn't tell them because they would have been like, go home, leave. And I would have been like, no, it's really okay. And then they would have been like, what the hell? Well, they probably would have thought that I was like a terrible person. So I didn't say anything. But it's cool to know that like, yeah, it's very rare to have like that kind of supportive environment, but yeah, so it's weird. I feel like it's weird to like what you do.
It's not common.
No.
It's definitely not, yeah.
Where people are like, I love my job, and you're like, really? But it doesn't, and I think it's becoming more acceptable, at least from what I've seen, to not have like an oh my god successful like bigwig job, and for people to be like, I love my job, and you're like, good for you. Like, you love working at Starbucks? I loved working at Starbucks. Good for you, you know, like people are just more accepting, and you don't have to like, you know, rise up the corporate ladder or whatever in order to be valuable, which I think is really good. Because I mean, some people don't want to do that because it's hard to do. It's not something you can just do overnight and you just wake up and you're like, I am the boss now.
Yeah. Though it would be nice if that happened.
It would be cool. Companies would fall a lot faster than they already do.
Amazon would not be what it is today.
But I mean, yeah, it's hard to do, but then some people are just like, I don't need that to like feel successful. Like, I don't need to, I don't need to take my boss's job in order for me to feel fulfilled. Like, I'm okay being where I'm at. This is where I need to be. And if I become unhappy, then I'll leave.
I think that's what most people need to recognize.
Yeah.
Is that before you find a career and a job, you need to recognize what it is that's going to fulfill you in life. Is it having that perfect balance between, I go and do my time at work, I enjoy what I do, and then I get to be with my family. And this job provides for vacations, and I enjoy that. So that's a good compromise for me. Or do you want to be the person who's going to climb the ladder and grind and not do anything for 10 years so that you are the boss? And then you can do what you want to do.
Yeah. That's hard to do. That's another big reason that I got out of sales, because I was like, everybody here, well, not everybody, but like most people that I met were just like, step on that guy's neck? Sure.
Cutthroat.
I was like, what? That's your friend. Are you kidding me? I was like, that's not within my nature. I can't. Like, I'm not a fan. I also wasn't a fan of staying up until 4:00 in the morning to go over a role play that wasn't even real. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't earning anything. Or anything like that. But I'm also a very, I think, weird person where if I enjoy what I'm doing and I don't get paid, I'm like, Like, when I first started working at Starbucks, I loved it. And for whatever reason, there was some mix up with like my payroll or whatever. I didn't get paid for like 3 months. Like, I was gonna get paid, and I knew that I was gonna get paid. Like, I was gonna get backlog paid for those 3 months, but those 3 months I was like, meh. I kept showing up because I liked what I did.
Oh my god!
I loved my crew, and I
don't know if I would have stayed for 3 months. After 2 weeks, I'd be like, okay, guys, we gotta.
I would have been like, we're gonna get it figured out, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh. They could have very easily been like, see ya.
Yeah, we don't even have you on payroll here. What are you talking about?
Who are you?
Yeah,
you just showed up. So, yeah, but and people, my family's like, you can't do that. I'm like, but I like it. I like what I do. And they're like, no.
That's not how life works. You gotta make money.
And I was like, but okay. So, I'm weird in that way.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think I would have hung out that long.
Yeah, I was just
not
like.
3 months.
No,
Definitely not 3 months.
Looking back on it, and I was like, but my thing all the time was like, I don't have any bills to pay.
And you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was like, I live with my family, I have no bills to pay, and this is fun.
Win-win.
Whatever. But yeah, looking back on it now, I'm like, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you're lucky.
Maybe I should have been paid.
You're lucky you got paid for the 3 months backlog. But yeah.
Wow. So talk to me about therapy. You said you're a big proponent of therapy.
Yes, you got me right when I was going to ask what you've been doing.
Oh, my bad. We could talk about it, but we got plenty of time. I'm still in school. This is my last semester.
Okay, cool.
Then we're done.
Are you at HSU or are you?
No, I'm going to school in New York.
Oh,
but
really?
Since it's all online, I'm in Eureka. Loving life.
Weren't you at like Oregon?
I've been to like 4 different schools.
Okay, I was going to say, I think the last place I remember seeing was Oregon.
Yeah, I went to CR for a little bit, and then I transferred to OSU, and then I transferred to Sacramento, and then I transferred to New York. So I was playing up my college years. I'm majoring in computer science and cognitive science.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to end up using them.
Okay.
But it's been a journey, and I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed the social life.
Yeah.
Probably more so than the schoolwork, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's been fun, and I've had a good time. Minus COVID kind of taking everything online, but
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, not really planned, but
no. Hopefully, you said you're graduating this semester?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say maybe when you graduate you'll get to walk across the stage.
No. Did you walk? No.
No.
Yeah, I don't get to walk. I
graduated from my couch with jeans and regular shoes on.
More comfortable.
And just an alumni shirt with my cap. And my parents on FaceTime on 2 different screens, and watching the president of my school give a commencement speech, and I sobbed. It was awful. I was so sad. And my boyfriend's like not a very sentimental dude, and so he was like, what is going on? Like, because he didn't even want to walk at all. Like, the only reason he was going to walk was because I was like, you're fucking walking.
Mm.
Like, this is a big achievement. You're fucking walking. Like, I don't care what you want to do. You're walking across the stage.
You don't have a say in this
No,
matter.
I'm cheering for you. This is my moment now. Go.
Yeah.
Like, so he was just sitting there like, what? Like, supportive, but like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Why are you
Let's
so
wrap
upset?
this up. I got things to do.
Yeah, he was like, are we gonna have dinner soon? Like, what? So yeah, it was terrible. But if you don't care about that kind of stuff, then I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'm bummed, but it's like an indifference kind of bummed. I think my parents are more broken about me not walking than anything because they don't get the picture, but I'm not really. I'm not really. Maybe that's because I bounced around so much, so I don't really feel like tied to the school
that would make sense.
in that way. But I'm not. No, I'd be more upset if it was like high school and I didn't get to walk with all my friends.
Yeah,
that
poor
would.
kids.
Yeah.
I feel terrible for them.
Yeah, it's not good.
I would suck. I would have freaked
Especially
out.
if you're not going to college and that's the only time you get to walk.
Yeah, I mean that would, but like I think the high school thing is like. I mean, college, like graduating college, like via Zoom was like rough, and just like doing college in general on Zoom is rough. But I feel like with high school, it would be so much more hard because typically you grow up with those kids. Like all of the kids except for like fucking me and like 2 other kids like went from, Cutton to Eureka High, and like all of you were together the entire time, and then my ass went over
you were like
Arcata.
One of 3 that just left and was like, oh,
left.
okay.
And I had to find a whole new cohort, and but like it's typically like you grow up with those kids since you're like 5, and then you're probably never going to see them again because you're going to college, and now you don't get to see them again earlier than you planned to, and nobody expected that. That sucks.
Yeah, and that's kind of like your last hurrah together.
Yeah,
because who knows where everybody's going to end up.
Right. Or if the never mind.
No, you gotta say it. Come on.
I was gonna take it to a really dark place.
Do it. We opened with suicide.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
if I was gonna say, or even if those people are gonna be alive in the next like 2 years.
Yeah.
Isn't it so fucking crazy how many people we've gone to school with that are dead?
Yeah, it was scary. It was crazy how many people died while we were still in high school.
Yeah.
Even more so.
Weird.
Yeah.
I remember like texting my parents like when I found out that like people died, like one person in particular, when I found out that they died, I was like, this is not supposed to fucking happen. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that was one of my best friends when I was like 5, and now they're gone. Like, that's insane to me.
And so young.
Yeah. And like they didn't have to go. But like, yeah, it's weird. I was like, this, and my parents were like, this just happens when you get older. I was like, well, I don't fucking like it.
That's not a good reason.
This is not cool. This shouldn't happen. Like, 22-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds should not be dying for any reason. Let alone, like, drugs and shit.
Yeah, you feel so protected that when something like that happens, it rocks you in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird. But, yeah, back to graduation. That would be tough.
Yeah, for high school, I feel for those kids.
Yeah. When you were bouncing around and stuff, did you do the same, like, subjects at each one?
I started out with biomedical engineering and computer science, and then I went to aerospace, and then I went to cognitive science. I bounced around. I didn't really have an idea. I knew computer science. No, I had no idea. I really had no idea. I came up with computer science and biomedical engineering one day. I was like, oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
I want to do that. Like, I'd never coded anything. I didn't even know what biomedical engineering was other than like, oh, you dabble in prosthetics.
Yeah.
And so I just ran with that for the first 2 years. I was like, oh, this is going to be great.
Sure.
Yeah, I can
do that.
No idea what it entails, but I'm on it.
Oh my God. I could never.
But yeah, it was wild. It's crazy looking back that like I'm actually graduating because it was like such a curvy way to go.
Yeah.
Most people go to one school, maybe 2 if you transfer from a JC. I went to 4. But the courses were radically different, like the requirements. That's why this is my 5th year doing this, because the courses, they just don't line up, especially out of state, they don't line up, and
Right, I was gonna
especially
say in
coast
different
to
states, I'm sure they
coast.
don't line up.
Yeah. So I took like all my prerequisites and lower education stuff at OSU, and then kind of at Sacramento, and then I transferred out to New York, and they're like, yeah, you get this, you don't get any of that.
None of that
like,
counted.
Some of this I finished my chem sequence, didn't even need that for the degrees, but that was for biomedical engineering, and now I just have that.
Pissed.
Yeah,
I would be like, just take it for something.
Yeah, just throw it somewhere. Like,
give
make
me a certificate or something for it. Give me
you
something.
Completed these 3 courses.
Well
Congratulations.
done. A pat on the back at the least.
But it's that. If that taught me anything, it's how crazy education is structured. Like, it makes no sense. It's completely broken. The idea that you could go to one school and take a completely different set of courses than at another school. It's like, how does any of this shit work? Like, what? What are we doing? Like, this doesn't.
Do
this
you
makes
guys
sense?
even know what we're doing?
Yeah, this makes sense to you guys. Who structured this?
Who did this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who made these decisions?
Yeah, it makes it kind of. I think it jaded me in a weird way towards higher education. Not higher education. I think higher education is great. I think everyone should want to learn. But just how it's structured, I think it's kind of bullshit.
It is really strange.
Yeah.
Like, who makes the rules?
Yeah.
Why are they not
They're
all
not.
just,
It's
why
not
is
one
there
person.
not just
Everyone's
like
just pulling them
everybody
out.
everywhere? This is what you want to do? You take these classes.
They need to structure it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous.
I can imagine.
It's so ridiculous.
I didn't have to experience that because I just did, one path. I definitely, my freshman year though, I was like, I have to drop out. I can't do it. Freshman year, many a breakdowns of being like, it's too hard. I can't. I want to go home. But yeah, that would be weird to like transfer that many times.
It was a crazy experience. I'm surprised my parents put up with it. Looking back, I can't believe they didn't just say no.
You need
to stay. Pick a school and stay. They kind of did with this last one, but it was like I transferred in as a junior with like senior standing, and they were like, okay, you're gonna stay here, right? And I was like, yeah, no, like, okay, good, because you don't have a choice.
Right.
Like, you're finishing here. And I was like, okay.
Which one did you like more?
I really liked OSU. I really liked OSU.
I've heard a lot of good things about OSU.
Yeah, OSU was cool. I think in terms of disseminating the information, I think the JCs were the best.
Really?
Yeah. I think they do not get they get a lot of slack, especially CR.
Yeah, I'm sure.
CR.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, but it was like impressive, like really impressive how they stacked up. Because you get into these, it's a private school that I go to back in New York, and so all the teachers are working in research, and they've got a million other things they're doing. So you don't really interact with them. It's the TAs teaching a lot of it. It's
interesting.
Like,
that would be weird.
Yeah.
It's like you're like a year older than me, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You got
I
out
was
of
the
this
same
class,
age as some of them, and it's like,
you got out of this class a semester before I did.
Yeah, and you're teaching us. Oh, I mean, is this even what
so.
you want to do? Like, what? And it's just weird because I think a teacher, it's not just about knowing the information. You have to be able to present it and disseminate
100%.
it to the students.
Yeah.
And these TAs aren't that. And
No.
they're just looking for the credit.
Right.
And so it's weird in that regard.
Here's this information. You better know it.
Yeah. And then you've got like 400 other kids, and you're going to office hours, and I waited like 4 hours one time and still didn't get help. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what is this? But I think, yeah, if anything, I think the JCs should get a little more credit because they are really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with them, but I've never really heard anybody talk other than like the general like fuck CR, like that kind of stuff. I've never heard somebody that's like actually gone there and been like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's only because you see people you went to high school with, and so you feel kind of like a loser because you're like, oh, this is basically high school 2.0.
Yeah.
But nobody ever has anything concrete. They're never like, oh, the teaching sucks, or oh, the workload's too much.
I've never heard
just,
anything.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah, from somebody that goes there that's like negative about it. Like my boyfriend's brothers, they went there for a little bit, and I think they're gonna start going again, and they liked it. But
yeah, it's nice, beautiful campus.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is a really pretty.
People
campus.
take that for granted for sure.
Yeah, I miss Chico's campus so much.
They have a really nice campus too.
Oh my god, it's a gorgeous campus.
And the weather.
And you take it for granted so much, and that's what like me and our friends will talk about too. Like, it's so pretty there. It was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous campus, and yeah, the weather was nice all the time. I didn't care for the 100-degree weather every so
It
often.
could get a little old, a little sticky.
Especially coming from here. Yeah. Like Jake and I were like, oh my god, like people are walking around in no sweatshirts. How are you not dying right now? Because we're both from here, and so.
Oh, Jake's from here too.
Yeah, we met in high school.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny is that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've been together for 7 years. So, but yeah, we'll be like, absolutely not. Like it hits like 70, and we're like, River Day, and our friends are from like Sacramento. We're like, no,
it's still cold outside.
Yeah.
What are you talking
and
about?
We're like, what the fuck? Dying. We got used to it though. Like I remember Snapchat. I distinctly remember leaving my dorm room, and it was like 75 degrees, and I had on pants and like closed-toed shoes, and I had on like a light jacket, and I sent a picture to my family, and I was like, I'm getting acclimated. They were like, what the fuck are you doing? They were like, how are you not dying? You're dying, and you're just messing with us. And I was like, no, I'm getting used to it. But yeah, but it's interesting because Chico, it gets hot, but then it also gets rainier than hell, just like here does.
Oh, really?
And so it was like, so it was really funny to see the tables turn for like the kids that were from Sacramento and stuff, or like the areas that didn't really rain a lot, where it's like drizzling and everybody's like, oh my god, and Jake and I are like, yes,
our natural habitat.
Yeah. Like, this is awesome. We can thrive in this. But yeah, the weather there was really, really nice. It was really, really cool to not, like it doesn't change by the second like it can here.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, it changes pretty rapidly in New York, and you get the
Does
snow.
it?
Yeah, the snow, which was pretty intense. There would be some days. So it was kind of like HSU, where HSU was up on a hill. Our campus was up on a hill, and we lived at the bottom, and so it'd be freezing outside, snowing with like 3 feet of snow all around you, and you're walking uphill, trying not to slip because there's ice
like,
everywhere. Just
literally those
get me to class.
that walked uphill in the snow.
Oh my! I know. Yeah, my sister was laughing because she went to New Hampshire and they had the same thing. She's like, "Oh my god, this is so great! I finally feel like I'm getting something out of you going to school." But it's insane. The snow. The snow's insane.
I couldn't imagine going to school in the snow. No, thank you. I'm not a fan of the snow. It's too cold.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'd much rather be like in Chico's climate where, it's sunny. Okay, it's raining. There's no snow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fall, slip on ice. Like, okay, I can deal with this.
Right. It did. While I was there was some crazy weather, though. Because I was there during the Butte County fires.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then we had
You guys got smoked out down there.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was there, and then was it after the fires or before? I think it was after the fires. Had to have been after the fires. Really bad flooding. Like super, super bad, where like people's cars were like moving, like swaying in parking lots. Like when people would drive by, like the cars would sway because there was just enough water, or like their tires were like a little bit off the ground, but like they weren't, moving everywhere, but like the cars would sway. You'd be up to your knees in water.
Oh my god. Maybe I don't want to go to
That's
Chico.
That's not normal though. That only happened like that because of the fires. Like everything was loose, and so everything was just washing in.
Wow.
And so it was like one tragedy after another. It was crazy.
And you guys were dealing with that on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
And so it was flooding on campus, and like people's apartments that were like on ground level were getting flooded in and stuff. Luckily at that time I lived in an upstairs apartment, so I didn't have to worry about it. But like, yeah, we would watch it like over our balcony, and like our neighbors were like, it's getting real damn close.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was crazy. My freshman year, the Oroville Dam, and Oroville is like 20 minutes away from us. The Oroville Dam was at very, very, very high risk of breaking.
I forgot about that.
And so, it
came really close.
Yeah, all of Oroville evacuated into Chico, and so Chico was just packed. That was crazy, and like all of us were really worried about it, that we were gonna get flooded. And then Butte County fires, and so everybody flooded into Chico. That was crazy. We had to evacuate. That was no fun.
Well, it seems like it's just been one thing after another now.
It's been crazy.
Putting it into perspective like that.
Yeah, and it was really, really crazy because, like, even at our commencement speech, like, the president of our school was like, "We have been through a lot." Like, we had. So my freshman year, we had that. My freshman year was when. Do you remember I just talking about this at work? The fucking clowns. Do you remember the clowns?
I do.
They're.
What the fuck was that?
Right. So my freshman year was the dam and then the whole clown thing, and there were clowns in Chico, and all that craziness. And so I was like, I never want to go outside again.
I'm just gonna live in my apartment.
Yeah, and then they just left and everybody forgot about it.
Yeah, that just disappeared.
It just disappeared until there was one time, like a year or two later, that my friends and I were like getting drinks at, like going to buy like drinks at Safeway, and we come out and there's a guy walking around the parking lot in like a jester costume, and all of us were like, "Fuck no,
we don't need this."
We were like, no, and we flipped out. But yeah, so we had that, and then sophomore year we had the kid who committed suicide on campus, which was crazy, and we had an alleged shooter on campus that was not cool, and we had 2 shooters on campus that was not cool.
That's heavy.
We had a dead body on campus.
What the hell's going on in Chico?
Yeah, we had a dead body on campus. We had the fires. We had the flooding. We had like really crazy hail for a while. It was a fun time.
Wow. The 2 alleged shootings, was that just a false alarm?
It wasn't. There was no shooting, but there were 2 people on campus with firearms. There was one guy that I think it was my freshman or sophomore year that he had like he was walking. He wasn't on campus, I don't think, but he was walking like around campus, and there's a high school, which I think is terrible planning, right across the street from Chico State. And so like we were all like the high school and us were on alert. And so our professors like were like, if you don't want to come to class, like don't. But it wasn't like stay inside or anything like that. So that was kind of freaking, but scared the shit out of my parents, of course. And then the other one was my junior year. That guy was genuinely scary. He was walking around like with a gun, but they didn't like find him for a while, and then like the same guy came and was like asking for like floor plans of like our library and shit.
The guy that was walking around with the gun?
Mm-hmm, and was like walking around, but he didn't make any, or no, he had made threats about a gun, but they didn't like find a gun on him is what it was. And so he was walking around our library, and like kids were seeing him, and he was like going up to kids and like asking about the floor plan and the exits and all that kind of stuff. And so I like didn't go to the library for like 3 months.
Yikes.
I was like, So yeah, all kinds of, but I'm sure I'm missing something, but yeah, all kinds of crazy shit.
That's a huge list already.
Yeah, and then COVID.
And then COVID, just to
top it off.
Put the last nail in the coffin.
Just to top it off. But yeah, that was a lot of weird shit.
Jesus.
Happened. And then, just college in general.
Yeah, throw that in there too. That's big enough. That's the college, the shooting thing on campuses and on schools it's like, I don't even know what you say about that. Like, it's just a crazy issue that is
What's crazy
huge.
to me is it's crazy how normal it's gotten. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but like just today my coworker was like, "Oh, there was a shooting in Knoxville." And my response was, "Another one?" Like, but it shouldn't be like another one. It should be like, "Oh my God." Like, that's crazy, but it so unfortunately happens enough where it's not, I mean, obviously it's shock and terror every single time, but it's not as jarring, I feel like.
We're like desensitized to it.
Yeah, where we're like, that fucking sucks. Move on. I mean, because also I think with like as much tragedy that happens on a daily basis, and I don't know that it's like more than it has been in the past. I think we just have so much more connection to everybody all the time that like everybody's constantly flooded with it. Like, I think if we were to really dwell on every single tragedy that happened, like,
you'd never have time for anything else.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Except be depressed all the time because of the terrible shit that's happening all the time. So I think it's hard to find a balance between acknowledging it and like dealing with your emotions around it and helping, and then still doing you and like living your life and not letting it like completely incapacitate you, which it totally could if you really want to sit there and think about it. And it's terrible.
It's a fine line that you have to walk.
Yeah.
Because there is I mean, you could spend every second of every day looking at all the terrible things that are going on.
Yeah, and you would not run out.
No.
Which is awful.
Yeah. It would just be a constant stream of, oh, this shooting happened, or, oh, these people are being oppressed, or, oh, there was a sexual assault over, like, there's no shortage of things you could find that would just ruin your day at any given moment. And so you kind of have to, like, have blinders on. Because, I mean, what else do you do?
Yeah.
Do you let that affect you every day?
You have to have blinders on, but then you also, like, have to be open enough where, like...
You have to care a little bit, right? Like, there has to be that give and take.
Right, because of course you do. Like, that's terrible. Like, you don't want...
Yeah, it's not good news.
Right, you don't want any of that to happen to anybody ever, but yeah, you can't let yourself just be, like...
You'd never leave the house.
Sunk in with it all the time, so it's tough. We talked about that a lot within my You Matter group that I was in. Like, we would talk about that a lot and be like, what's the right scenario? Because people in my group, like when the suicide happened on campus, we were all like pissed because kids...
Oh, you were part of that group before it happened?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For a little bit before, and like we were all like pissed because kids were making jokes and all that kind of stuff, and like kids were not taking it seriously. There wasn't enough like attention around it at all, that we thought. It was really tough for the school because, you know, although you probably should plan for that kind of stuff to happen, they didn't plan for that, you know, how to do media coverage and all of that kind of stuff for that. So they handled it really, really poorly. And I don't think that that's necessarily their fault. It's just I don't think that was on their radar of like a possibility.
Yeah, they weren't prepared for it.
Right. Although you should be, but also, I mean, because you're in like with a really, really vulnerable population, but then also like who wants to have to prepare for that? But yeah, so it was handled really poorly and the whole community was pissed. And so we talked about that a lot, where it was like, what's the right, you know, we don't want to always be reminding people of what happened because, you know, everybody processes in their own way. Like maybe making jokes about it, as fucking awful as that is like how you cope with it. And then maybe at home, like you have, you know, a panic attack or whatever, what have you. And like, then you're fine. Whereas like people like me and like people like in that group were like, we need to talk about this. Like, we need to talk about it and realize the severity of, you know, what happened and what's going on and why these kind of things occur. But yeah, it definitely didn't help that the school handled it really poorly.
What was your guys' approach? How did you guys try to...
We participated in and helped launch and participated in as much as they would let us, because we weren't like really trained. We were kind of just like, as far as crisis goes, in therapy, but like when any of us could, we would like volunteer at because they had like counseling, they had therapy tents that like went up throughout the school for a really long time, which was a really, really good reaction that they had. It was just the initial reporting of the incident that was like really, really terrible. But like doing that, and then just we really went hard and heavy, like message, I think we emailed like all of the professors and we're like, hey, we will come in and like do a talk about self-care and suicide. Like if you want us to come in, like based off of everything that's happened, like if you want that, of course we didn't force it on anybody, but if that's something that you want us to come in and talk about, like we'll do that. And so we did a lot of those and talking about it. And I think it hit hard. I think it was like a good time for it because it showed like, this is real. Like it happens, as unfortunate as it is and as terrible as it is, and nobody wants to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. Like it's not like that's somebody else's problem, like sort of thing. It's like definitely it could be anybody's issue. Like anybody could happen to anybody, which is really, really difficult to have to try and deal with. But yeah, we were just like, we need to talk about it. Like, we need to talk about it because it happens, and like everybody's affected by it in one way or another. Like, whether it's like very, very, very third party, or whether it's like right there in your own home, or whether it's you, like everybody is touched by it in one way or another. I mean, like, even like when Robin Williams like passed, that hit everybody knows who that is. So like, they're right there. Everybody's been touched by it. So yeah, it's like, it's not something that you can escape, unfortunately. Why is my phone?
And you just don't know.
Right.
Is the biggest problem. Unless somebody expresses the sentiments that they're feeling, or expresses their emotions in a way that you pick up on, you just don't know.
It's really it's super hindsight is 2020, which really sucks because
how do you combat that?
You can't do anything at that point. So I think that's one of like the most like hindsight is 2020 instances like of all time, of like, oh my god, like that makes sense now, like why they were acting that way or why they said those things to me or whatever. So I mean, the best thing that we can do is obviously like learn and give resources and get resources and understand and things like that, and then also like knowing the warning signs and stuff like that, like the generic warning signs, I mean, that are the common ones, but I mean everybody is different, but I mean there are certain things that typically happen, but I mean everybody does things in their own way. So, and it's whether or not you pick up on them at the time. Like it's really common for people to like start giving away like valuable items or whatever, or things that they find sentimental, that that they find sentimental, but at the time you might just be like, fucking sweet. Like, thanks, man. And then you realize, afterwards.
Oh, this meant something.
Yeah, like this meant something. Like this was a goodbye in a way, or like that kind of thing, or, or talking about, even because like one of the big things that we'd be like, if somebody's like suicidal, it's not always like I want to die. Like most of the time it's not that statement. It's like I can't do this anymore, or I just want to like
interest.
go to sleep and go to sleep and like never wake up, or I just wish that I could like go away and like not come back, like that kind of stuff. That's like really become like a passing kind of statement.
And it's hard because everybody says that,
right?
Especially now,
right?
Like,
or
I just don't care about it.
Or like,
anything.
God, I'm fucking depressed. Like that kind of stuff has become such a passing joke. Where I mean, if I hear like a random stranger say that kind of stuff, like in conversation, I'm not gonna be like, "Are you okay?
Do you need some help?"
Yeah, but like, if like when my friends would say stuff like that, like I would be like, okay. Like, I just need to check.
That's a joke, right?
Right. Like, I just need to check. And they would be like, you're just making it so serious. I'm like, well, God forbid, I think back to that moment. I didn't say anything. And then something, happens. Like, good Lord. So, prevention as much as possible. But, I mean, you can't save everybody, which is really, really hard.
Yeah, that's the hard thing to accept.
Yeah.
Is you're going to be a step behind sometimes.
And that's really difficult to come to terms with and get grips of. But I mean, it happens. Like, you're not always going to see it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where there's not really a strong approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to really do anything, the person has to seek out the help that they need.
Yeah.
Above all else.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's really, really difficult. I mean, if it's somebody that's like not really willing to seek out the help for whatever reason, I mean, the biggest thing is just like being there, just being like, hey, if you ever want to talk, I mean, whether or not they're going to talk to you, just even like knowing that there is somebody there to talk to can be really, really beneficial. So, I mean, even just being like, whenever you want to, or if you want to, like, I'm here if you need it. But that can be really, really hard too, because then you have the what's it called? Like the fatigue of the supporter too.
Yeah, if you're just dumping everything on them.
And then the supporter is like, and then in the role of the supporter, like it's too much. Like, I can't take any more of this information, or like, you need a break, but then you feel like you can't take a break because then that person doesn't have anybody. And so that's really, really difficult. I would say, like, being in like the mental health field, even not even just like with my job, but like just doing what I did before, like at Chico and being in psychology, like that's really hard to like my self-care does still matter. You know, like my mental health does still matter, even though I'm like doing stuff to help other people's mental health. Like mine still does matter. So that's really difficult to come to terms with too. So look out for your helpful friends as well,
Yeah.
because it's difficult on all sides, which is crazy. But
do you think that mental health issues, or I mean, I don't even want to say issues, but like mental health ailments, I guess, do you think they're more prevalent today, or do you think we just talk about them more? They're a little more accepted.
I think that we just talk about them. Personally, I think we just talk about them more. I think that there's also a lot of I don't know, like not misdiagnosis, but like misunderstanding of the community of people that like do drugs and things like that. Also, that like it's always kind of put as just like, well, they're deciding to do drugs or whatever. I guess misdiagnosis wasn't the word. But that like a lot of times there's a lot of underlying mental health issues like with that kind of stuff, like and typically in drug addicts as well. There's a lot of underlying mental health issues because I mean, escapism is like one of the biggest pulls of like those kind of drugs. It's like you get to zone out, or it puts you to sleep, or you know, whatever. So I don't know that it's necessarily more prevalent. I think it maybe feels more prevalent because it's more accepted, so people like feel maybe more like they can talk about it more, and because we've come to realize how important it is, that there's more resources, so maybe it feels like that there's more things going on, or that more people are depressed, or have anxiety or bipolar or whatever. But I don't think that there's necessarily more depression or suicides or anything going on in general that in my personal opinion. I think just like with the with like the tragedies and stuff like that, there's so much more exposure of like everything that's going on, whereas I don't know that necessarily there are more, you know, robberies now than, you know, whenever, or something like that. I mean, certain things I think are probably higher, but in general, I think there's just more exposure to
you
things.
have more
like
access to it.
You can access anything on basically anywhere at any time. And so you're just like, whoa, like there's so much coming in and coming at you that it's like, the world is a terrible place. And I mean, it's not the best place.
Yeah, it's definitely hard.
It's definitely
hard.
It's hard. But I think also just, yeah, societally, like, it was pull yourself up by your bootstraps, suck it up, act like a man for a really long time. And I think in a lot of places it's still like that, and within a lot of cultures and a lot of families it's still like that. But I think it's more acceptable to, whether it's within your family or just you find your own niche, that's accepting of what it is that you're going through, then you can talk about it more, rather than, you know, fucking suck it up, act like a man, don't cry, all that machismo shit.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're not a fan of those
no,
statements.
I'm not. I'm not. Because it doesn't let people like be vulnerable. It doesn't let people be people. Like, I mean, it's not saying that like we have to air out every single possible thing that happens throughout the day. Like every time I get like a sad bit or like a bout where I go in a down spiral or whatever, I don't need to talk about it endlessly to everybody. But I mean, if I'm having a bad day and like I can't hold it in and I want to have a breakdown at work, one, it shouldn't be a thing of like, oh, she's on her period. I hate that shit. Or because like it's a female or whatever. If you want to have a breakdown at work, have a breakdown at work, you know? Like if something's really, really weighing on you, like you shouldn't have to bury it down for the comfort of society. Like I think that is a terrible idea. I mean, and that kind of in itself is a fine line, I guess, because then you'll get people that, you know, everything is like out there for everybody, and so it's kind of a balance. But I mean, if you're having a hard time, like you don't need to keep that in all to yourself. Like that's terrible. So what it's gonna do is then, oh, here's your other bad time on top. Here's your other bad time on top, on top, on top, and you're just fucking
piling it on.
Yeah, just buried in bad times and sad and like in sad emotions and all that kind of stuff, and it makes it a lot harder for the good things to feel good, and it makes it just a lot easier to stay in your hole, and then people don't really notice if that kind of becomes your personality and you're just silently like struggling, which sucks. And it sucks to be that person. It sucks to be the family member of that person, because like you can't, if it's hard to help them, it sucks to be the partner of that person because it's hard to help them. Like all of it.
Yeah, it's draining on your relationships.
Yeah.
If you're not like.
And it's super multifaceted. But
I go back and forth. I mean, people love to shit on, especially the pull yourself up by your bootstraps. People love to shit on that phrase. But I like that. Like, I was raised in a lot of ways on that. Like, not explicitly, but just, like, do the work.
Yeah.
Like, your work ethic is going to define who you are as
Yeah.
a person in a way. But I also think you do need to find a balance. You do need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And make sure that you are okay. Because if
Right.
you're not okay, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You're not
Right.
going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like work ethic, and stuff, yeah, like get your shit done and like let's get it done. That makes sense to me. More so of the like if you're having a hard day or whatever, and like you need 20 minutes to just fucking let something out, or like you need to take a walk or whatever. Like I don't see how that's a bad thing. Because all it's going to do is like better what it is that you're trying to do, like in your personal life or your work life or whatever. If like your mental health, which then like it helps with your physical health and vice versa, is on point, then your work ethic or whatever it is that you're trying to reach and trying to do is going to be better, and it's going to be on point because you're like cohesive and you're, you know, put together and whatever.
Exactly.
But I think that it's difficult, but I think it's gotten a lot better. I think the exposure for male mental health is a lot better, too, where it's become more acceptable for that to happen. My biggest thing, I have 2 younger brothers, and so I don't want them to have to like tamper shit down because they're men and they're like not allowed to be sad. Like, yes, you are. Like, sad shit happens to boys too. Like, and you can be upset about it too, and it doesn't make you like a pansy or a sissy or whatever the phrases are. Like, it doesn't make you less of a man or whatever. Like, it's just a human emotion. I mean,
it's so weird how that just got that slipped in, right? That women are allowed to show emotions, and men, you just gotta show that shit down.
Yeah, because you're gonna be thought of as less of a man or whatever. Like, you know.
It's weird, right? It's weird how that just came. I mean, thinking about it.
Yeah, I've never understood it. I'm like, we're all people, yes? We all have problems, yes? Okay, so we should all be able to express emotions, right? Okay. So yeah, I've tried my hardest when it comes to like my brothers and stuff. To, you know, because at times, my dad will do the whole, like, what are you fucking crying about? And I'm like, he's sad! Like, he's 8! He's sad!
Let him
like,
be sad
let
for
him
a
be
minute.
sad! The kid's 8! Like, come on! We don't need to do this early on. This is crazy! And then I'll pull him aside. I'll be like,
it's okay.
Dad can be tough sometimes, but you can be sad. It's okay. Because then I think too that it creates like, it just is like a never-ending cycle of, you know, kids are taught at that at home, and then if you have a kid that's like a little bit less, you know, manly or machismo or whatever than him, he's gonna get fucking picked on for being a regular kid, and that sucks. Or like if kids are mean, man. Kids are mean.
Come on. Kids are meaner than a lot of adults.
Kids are mean because they have no filter. They're just
they
like,
don't care.
Fuck it.
Yeah. And what's going to happen? You're not going to slap a kid
yeah,
like,
no,
what?
Are you
There's
gonna
no
do?
punishment.
Right. And so, yeah. And, well, it's because they just don't, because they're still, like, in their own little bubble. Like, when they get into public school, yeah, you learn, like, shit that you don't learn at home. But you're still in your little bubble of, like, well, mom and dad say it, and, like, grandpa say it and shit. So, like, it's got to be okay. You know, you don't hear things and, 1, register that they're bad, and then 2, aren't going to be like, my mom and dad wouldn't say racist shit, or like my mom and dad wouldn't say terrible things about, like my dad wouldn't say terrible things about women, so like it must be, you know, okay, or like anything like that. Like, you think the world of your parents, and then those kids go to school and they're assholes to other kids whose parents are not racist or not homophobic or whatever, and then that kid comes home and it's like, what the fuck, like what's going on? So it just perpetuates this. I mean, like, it's a generational curse, really, like all of that kind of stuff. Like my little brother came home sobbing. He's a boy. His favorite color is pink. He likes pink. He's always liked pink. And pink is the girl's color. And so he had this pencil bag, and it had like graffiti writing on it or whatever. But most of it was pink. And he was like, yeah, I like that bag. And we were like, cool. Like, here's your pencil bag. And he comes home sobbing. And me and my stepmom were like, what's going on? And he said that one of the kids at school called him a girl and called him a baby and stuff for having a pink bag. And so he was throwing it away and crying because he loves this bag, but these kids are being dicks. And so he had to throw it away. And I was like, no. I was like, look here. I said, you do whatever the hell you want to do, and you be whoever the hell you want to be. You want to wear pink and have light up shoes or whatever, like the quote unquote all the girls do, you do that. You know, do whatever you want to do and be whoever you want to be. And there's been times where, like, my parents and I have disagreed on things that, like, that of interest and stuff like that. And I'm always like, you might have to hide around, like, mom and dad or whatever for certain things, or, you know, whatever. Maybe they don't like that much pink in your life or your wardrobe or whatever. You can have all the fucking pink shit you want at my house. I don't care. You be who you want to be. You're my brother. I will love you. I don't care. Like, you know, you want to have pink hair, you want to dress like girls, technically, do that. Whatever makes you happy, dude. Like, I don't care. But not everybody is like that.
Yeah, it's definitely
and it's hard to remember.
It's definitely hard.
And you have to keep...
Especially as a kid.
And I have to keep that in mind, and it's tough, because I've talked about it with Jake, and I'm like, what if our kid was, like, gay? And he's like, well, I wouldn't care. I was like, I wouldn't give a fuck either. But you have to prepare them for the world of being assholes, because there are still so many people that aren't okay with that, and so many people that don't accept it or don't understand it or think that it's wrong. So, like, I feel like that would be really tough as a parent, being like, I have zero problem. Like, you do what you want to do. I'm going to love you regardless. Like, you want to, you know, if you discover or feel that you're gay or trans or whatever, like, I love you no matter what. However, we're going to have to prepare you and let you know that, you know, as much as we don't want it to, like, the world's going to be an asshole to you because of who you are. And that sucks. Like, a fundamental part of who you are, a lot of the world doesn't like you. That would be crazy. Right?
Yeah, it's insane. No, I was just, it is, I mean, it's hard.
Like,
it's hard. Right? It's hard that is where we are. And I mean, I want to preface that by saying we were definitely in a better spot. Like, 100%. People seem to forget that.
Yeah, no.
Shit was a lot worse.
Yeah, no, we're still we're definitely in a really good spot.
Great.
But it's not easy.
It's not great, especially with bullying when you're younger. Like, that shit can stick with you. But I mean, I'm gonna play devil's advocate just a little bit, a little bit. It's hard on bullying.
No,
but
my partner does this all the time. So I'm ready.
Okay. I mean, those kids that undergo that, it's a double-edged sword, because it can break you in, like, a fundamental way if you allow it to, but it can also make you stronger than a lot of people your age, because you're going against the grain.
Right.
And in order to do that and continue down that path, you have to be resolute in who you are.
Right.
At least on some level, you have to know, okay, no, like, this is who I am. This is who I want to be.
Regardless of the bullshit.
Yeah, you can kind of block that out. But some kids, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And it breaks them, and that's where it gets really shitty. Because it's like, not everybody can handle that. And you wouldn't want that for your kid.
No. Yeah, you don't want to have to put them to the test.
Yeah, you don't want to find out, like, is this going to break you? Or...
Yeah, you don't want to be like, here, Hunger Games, go. Like,
yeah. That's a great analogy. Hunger Games is a little intense.
Yeah.
But that's what it's like when you're a kid.
Yeah.
That is your world.
It's fight or flight. Like, you know, like you're either going to survive or you're going to, like, it feels like you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like,
it really feels that way.
And just even, preface it by saying that I definitely had a very easy childhood. But even like the little bit amount of quote unquote bullying that I had, it's with me. I mean, it's part of me, and I think about like certain things on a daily basis. Like, and I adjust the way that I do things based off of comments that were made to me as a kid. Like, it's with me to this day. So it's really, really tough, because then I wonder, like, how much of it is, like, they recovered from it, and then how much of it is just, like, in there.
That trauma just...
But, yeah, it's trauma
stuck.
that's in there, and, like, it's forming how they do things, but they haven't, like, worked past it or, like, worked with it to understand it and, like, accept it, like, that's part of who they are or whatever. So that's... I don't know. It's very tough.
It's hard. Because for every kid that you have that grows stronger, you have one that's bullied into the closet. And that's where they stay now because of all the ridicule and shit that they had to eat as a kid.
Yeah. Or, I mean, they grow up and, like, they're good and thriving and stuff. But, I mean, that shit's still there. And, like, it hurts. I mean, I was just watching, I just finished watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
I've heard about this. I've not seen it.
It's phenomenal.
This is the second time this has come up, and I think that's how it was described in the last one too.
Phenomenal. And like these like men are doing what they love to do, and they're being fabulous queens. But like it seems like every single episode, like one of them is crying about like the shit that they went through as a kid, whether it's from like the kids at school or their parents. Like they were like threatened to be killed, and they were, you know, chased down at school and beat to shit. Like, because of who they were. And I'm like, that's terrible. But also, yeah, it's tough because, like, you can't, yeah, like, you want to be like, well, can you make it? But you also don't want to keep them in a bubble, but you don't want to be like, here, wolves, there you go. Like, it's tough. I think that's one of the scariest, like, things that I'm scared most about, like, being a parent is, like, trying to protect your kid from the world, but then also being like, but this is what you have this here.
Yeah, you don't want to smother them.
Yeah,
because then they can go sideways too.
Right, you don't want to protect them too much, or it's like everything is perfect, and they get out the world, they're like, whoa, like, well, what is going? Everybody is mean, you know, like it's a fine line.
It's hard. It's really hard.
It's terrifying.
And I don't know specifically about bullying. Like, I don't know how you really stop that.
I don't know either.
I mean, because you could have a kid whose parents are great
right.
and amazing, and then their
dicks.
kid's a piece of shit. Like, what?
And other kids
that's what scares me is you're the parent that has
you
the
do everything
asshole
right.
kid. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what, like, how do you deal with, yeah, how do you deal with that? That would eat me up at night being like,
I would be so bad. I'd be like, I swear to God.
Like, I know nobody wants to hang out with him.
I did a good job, I swear.
Yeah, I tried my best. I don't know where we went wrong. Maybe it was all the apple juice.
Right.
We were just trying to be good parents.
Right. Just trying to make him happy. Yeah, it's tough. And I feel like you don't know where you went wrong as a parent until your kid gets older. And if your kid has the balls to be like, this is where you fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Whereas, I have no problem doing that. I'm like,
have you done that to your parents? Oh,
I'm like, shit. I'm in therapy now because of this, and this. Think about that. Like, no, I deliver it a little bit nicer, but like basically being like, yeah, this was not okay. Like, can we all acknowledge that this is okay? It's not going to change it, but God. I just want acknowledgement that this happened to me.
Me and my sister joke with my parents about that. We'll be like, yeah, this is going to be why we're in therapy in 5 years. Because of this moment right here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've said stuff like that to my parents. And, like, sometimes they're like, ah, ha, 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 and I don't think they realize I'm serious. And then sometimes they're like, oh, my God. Shit.
We fucked up.
And I'm like, maybe that was a little too much.
But still, I mean, look at who you are today. And you seem like a great person. You still seem like that little girl I met back when we were kids. But it's like, And what gets me is imagine where you would be without those experiences. As tough
Right.
as they are, like
Yeah.
they play into. I mean, of course, that's us saying it, and we're okay.
Retrospect.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
okay right now. If we
Yeah.
were living,
I'm a
if I was living on the
stable,
street, I might
right.
be like,
I'm a
this shit
stable,
fucked me
regular
up."
human
Yeah,
being for the most part. Yeah.
but where would you be without those?
Right.
I think that
And
does
that's
come
tough
into
too,
play.
because my parents at times have been, my mom is like, she said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry." And I'm like, that doesn't make me feel any better. She's like, "Because you're a stronger person now for it." And I'm like, but that still doesn't,
That's just an excuse.
I didn't have to have that happen, but okay.
Thanks, I guess.
Like, that
right?
wasn't normal, but okay.
we'll just keep that on the side.
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened, but glad that you're taking responsibility for that. Cool.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
I mean, but also she's right. Like, I would be different, but I'm also like, but would I be better had that not happened? Like, would I have had a more regular childhood, or would I be less able to adapt to situations? I don't know why I said that. I don't adapt to situations well at all.
I just try to keep it moving.
I don't.
Is my approach.
I don't adapt to situations at all. I hold on to shit and I'm like, this is terrible. But yeah, that's what therapy is for.
Do you go to therapy?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I've been going to therapy. I think I started to go to therapy when I was in like 7th grade.
Middle school.
Mhm.
Oh wow. Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, I think I started going to therapy when I was in like 7th or maybe 8th grade. And then I went, I think it was only like 7th and 8th grade. And then I stopped when I got into high school because I didn't want to get bullied for going to therapy. And then I started again my junior year. And then
Of high school.
And then I stopped when I got into college because I was like, I'm not gonna have time for therapy. And then my last year of college, I was like, you need some help. Like, you need assistance doing this stuff. And so I got back into therapy. And then took a little break when I was done because I was using like the school psychologists who were phenomenal. And but then just before I started this job, I got back into therapy, but I've been doing like over the phone therapy, which I never thought that I would like, but it's...
Is it good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Huh.
I mean, my therapist is really awesome, and she's very calm, cool, and collected and understanding, and she has a way of approaching things that is not my norm, but something that I really like. Like, she approaches it in the kind of like a spiritual well-being kind of way, where it's not so much like, here's some medication, you have this, whatever, here's medication to balance you out. She's like, go outside and like garden, like listen to calming music in the morning to set your day, in a calming space. Or when you're going home, if you had a stressful day, like listen to calming music or read this book and like talk with your partner about what's going on in therapy. Like all different kinds of stuff that I was always kind of like, yeah, spiritual health, but I was not like doing it. So that's been interesting. But yeah, so I've had all different kinds of therapists. My first therapist was terrible. And I didn't realize until after I was out of therapy. I was like, that person
That was not
sucked.
good.
This was not good. It was super counterproductive to my mission. So like, she didn't help at all. So yeah, and that's what's tough, is that a lot of people, when they like try therapy, they're like, nope, didn't work for me, I'm out. I'm like,
they don't give it a real shot.
Yeah, I'm like, do most people marry the first person that they go out with? No. So, you test people out. Are you friends with the first person that, like, people that you meet, like, the first person that you meet in high school, is that your friend forever? Probably not. Like, you have to test people out. Like, not everybody's going to click with you, and therapy's the same way. Like, their approach might not work for you, or you might not like how much they talk, or you might not like how much they try and make you talk, and you just sit in silence. Nobody fucking likes that. So, like, you have to test people out. And most therapists, if they like care and they're like good at what they do, there's like sliding scale options or whatever. I mean, not every therapist has that, because some of them are like really specialized, where it's like they have a lot of extra education in order to do like these specific things. So they they require more money, but a lot of therapists have sliding scales and work with insurance and things like that, because I think that's a really big concern of a lot of people is like, well, I don't have the money for therapy. Like, I wish therapy wasn't expensive as it is. It is expensive. But I mean, if you have the money and you can find a therapist that you work with well and click with that is on your insurance, that you have to pay like, what's it called? Like a
copay?
Yeah, a copay. Was gonna say a deposit. That was not the right word. A copay with, then like do that. But yeah, it's not gonna always work on the first try. But then also, it's not fair to like try and mold yourself into that therapist's style. Like I had one therapist. I had when I was trying to find the right therapist in Chico State. I had 2 therapists before that, and I had to get really comfortable really fast with being like, this is not going to work for me, because it made me really uncomfortable where I was like, I'm gonna hurt their feelings. You know, like this is what they do and I'm telling them that they're not good. And so, but I would be like, I feel really bad, like being like, this isn't working for me. And they were like, it's our job to make you better. And if we're not working with you, then we don't want to waste your time and we don't want to waste our time, you know? Like, we're all playing for the same team here. It's your team. So do whatever you want to do to make your team successful. So, yeah, don't feel bad. It's their job.
Yeah, you almost need to look at it like they're vying for your time.
Right.
So who do you want to spend your time with?
Right.
Not, oh, this one's highly recommended, so I'm just going to suck it up and wait and hopefully it gets better. But...
Yeah, like, I don't enjoy how they call me baby girl, but we're going to keep going. A real life experience.
Oh, yeah, that could get...
Yeah, I don't enjoy that. Yeah. I don't enjoy you saying that you could also cry for me, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta find someone who you can open up with, because it is so intimate.
Yeah.
Like, you were expressing a side of yourself that most of the time you keep quiet, or you have kept quiet up until that point.
Typically, yeah. Or my thing is I'm really an open book. Like if somebody is like, I really want to know how you're doing, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like,
sit down, let's talk.
let's hash this out for the next 5 hours. But like my thing was like, my main pull for like doing therapy in the first place is like, I just want an unbiased person to talk to about my problems, and not somebody that's gonna be like, because I'm such an open book, if I was having a problem with a friend, I would go home and I would, tell my mom about that negative experience with that friend or whatever. But then every time I would bring up that friend, it would be like, well, that one time when she did this shit or whatever. And
moms love that. They got that shit on lock.
Yeah, I was like, it's not a supportive environment anymore. And I don't feel safe talking to you about them, because you're just going to harp on the negative shit that they've done. But because it's so much easier to talk about negative shit than like, my friend did something really nice for me today. Then it's like, don't brag. You know what I mean? So that was difficult. So that was like my main pull of like wanting to do therapy. That, and I mean, early childhood trauma, but, and, so like just finding an unbiased person to like, this is what's going on. And then not even necessarily like needing solutions, just being like, getting it off of your chest with somebody that's not going to be like, well, based off of what I've heard in the past about this person, or, well, her mom's not very, nice anyway, so it's no wonder, like any of that kind of crap. So that was my main pull, and then I just really enjoyed it, because then, and it's funny because most people's reaction is like, oh yeah, I'm in therapy. They're like, oh, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, my life is fine. Like, I just want somebody to talk to about like my day-to-day shit that sometimes gets a little bit too much, that I don't want to, I don't want my relationship to be all about like us sharing the bad shit that happens to us. Like, that's not fun. I mean, we're there for each other for that too, but that's not what our relationship is about. So it's just nice to have like that unbiased, like kind of unattached person, but that also knows you on that deeper level, where they can be like, well, as patterns show, like, you've done this before, so maybe try and think about it this way, or like something like that. Or somebody that knows you but like doesn't really know you. that you only see like for those kinds of things. Like, you know, they're not your buddy that, you know.
Yeah, you're not grabbing beers.
No, you're not going to walk
Friday
out the door. Although it is interesting. It is really weird, but really cool when you have a therapist that you would go and grab a beer with. Like I had my therapist that I landed on, Chico, I was like, I would love to go to the bar with you. Like, let's go. Like, you're a cool person. So that's interesting. An interesting dynamic to be in where it's like, no, we can't do that. But yeah.
I think it's good for people to hear that, because I think that's a side of therapy that gets swept under the rug a little bit. Like normally you hear therapy and you think, oh, mental health or maybe marriage.
Yeah.
But even marriage falls under the rug a little bit too.
Right.
Like that's important too. Like even just if you just need someone to talk to and you don't want to burden, I guess in a weird way, those around you, or burden's not even the right word, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah.
Like it's important.
Burden is a negative word for it, but yeah.
Yeah,
but,
it's important to.
Yeah, because you don't want to feel like you're putting a lot on somebody, especially if you're. My weird feeling is that I put a lot on my partner, but my partner is not so much the type that talks about that kind of stuff, so I don't really get a lot back from him, which is, I mean, fine, but it makes me like feel bad where I feel like we're not even. If that makes sense, where I'm like, I give you a whole lot of shit, but then I don't get a lot of shit back. So I feel like I'm just taking advantage of like your niceness of like, being a really good partner and listening to me.
Almost like you're overwhelming them.
Yeah. But then of course he's always like, no, it's fine. It's okay. But I'm like, but just in case it's not, I'm just going to talk to this person over here. But yeah, he's really cool, and it's really nice to have like a partner that's supportive of that, because he's definitely like, not for me, don't ask me to go to therapy, not my fucking thing. Like he doesn't like it. He said like he's like, it's not that I don't really like believe in it. He's like, I know that it works for you and it works for a lot of other people. He's like, but I don't believe in it like for me. Like I don't think it would work for me. And I was like, that's totally fine. So like we're on totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Or like if anybody's like, oh, this sucks, I'm like, therapy, and he's like push it down. Like we're totally different sides of the spectrum, but we work really well together. Or I'll be like when people that we went to high school with died, like if he was close with them or like played football with them or whatever, I would be like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, you can break down, it's okay. We're gonna do this.
Just standing there with some ice cream and popcorn, like, it's okay, we can do it.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna get it out of you. Where I'm like, please be emotional. Like, come on. And he's like, I don't need it. And then I'm like, you know, a minor inconvenience. And I'm like,
let's talk.
And he's like, it's okay. Hugging me and shit. Like, too much road rage, I'm in tears. Like, it's really... You never know what you're gonna get with me, but yeah, so it's really interesting to have like a partner on totally opposite ends of the spectrum, where he's like not super analytical and I'm like super emotional, and he's like, no, that makes no fucking sense, and I'm like, okay.
I think the important thing there is that support, though. Like you guys, you're on different ends, but it's not you shitting on him and him shitting on you. Like you guys are both
understand where like how we are and where we're coming from. It definitely helps that we basically like fucking grew up together, because we've been together since I was 15. So, and I'm 23.
Wow.
So we basically grew up together. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That is so long ago.
Isn't it weird?
My God,
it is weird.
Still gets me. It still gets me looking at you like, oh my God, like.
Yeah. I had lunch with my mom actually today, because she lives in Eureka and we live out in Blue Lake, so we don't usually like go into Eureka a whole lot, so I don't see her a lot unless she has lunch with me, like on her days off. So she'll bring me lunch at work.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and we'll have lunch together, which is really fun. So we get like an hour, usually like once a week or so together, and we'll hang out and talk. And so I was like, guess what I'm going to do today? She was like, what? And I was like, I'm going to go see Nick Flores. And she was like, what? And because of course she remembers like all of the kids that I went to school with, and she was like, what, why? And I was like, oh, somebody go do a podcast. She was like, oh, well, that'll be fun. And she's like, what's he up to? I was like, I don't know.
We're gonna find out.
I was like, I have no idea. I said, I don't know what he's been doing. But she was, then she was like,
that's awesome.
And she's so funny. I'm so much like her, where she like remembers like everything about everybody. So she was like, how is this sister? Where's this sister? I was like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. I was like, I think I've only seen her like maybe 2 times in my life. I don't know. But yeah, he was like, I wonder if did your mom watch Kids when we were younger?
Yeah, she had a daycare.
She was like, I wonder if she still watches Kids. Yeah, I was like, I didn't know that she did it. She said, yeah, she had a daycare at their house out in Cutton, and I was like,
whoa,
what?
solid
Where
memory.
do you store
all
of this information? It was super weird. She's like, don't you remember out in Cutton? I said, no. I said, I think I vaguely remember that, like, they lived in Cutton, but I don't know.
It was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
And, yeah, so it was super funny, because she just remembers, like, everything, like, where she left off, where, like, we left off, basically. And so she was like, I wonder if its mom still watches Kids, and how
funny
are
is
they?
that?
And she's like, are you going to see them? And I was like, I don't think, we're not having dinner together, like...
It's a podcast, Mom.
Yeah.
Relax.
I was like, I think it's just gonna be me and Nick sitting across from
in a
each other
garage
for a little bit. But yeah, so she was pumped.
Oh, that's
she was
so
like, Tell
cool.
me all about it. So she was excited. So my mom says hi.
Yeah, you'll have to tell her I said hi. That is so funny.
But yeah, so she's fun. She was like, I remember I dropped you off at their house one time. I was like, I went to his house, and she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh.
News to me.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So I remember picking you up, and you guys all went to school together, and that fair that you guys were at, and all that stuff. And I'm like,
oh my
what
God, she's got it locked down.
Yeah, and she remembers like everything about everybody. And then she was like, does anybody know what happened to Luke? And I'm like, Luke who? And she's like, Luke, and he had that mom that ran a lot, and I'm like, Luke Bongio? And she's like,
He had the mom that ran a lot.
Yeah, and she's like, whatever happened to him? I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't keep up with all these people. I don't know. I said, I don't know where
I'm not
he
keeping
is.
tabs on people.
No, I said,
Mom,
I'm not
come on.
stalking people from middle school. I don't know where these people are. I don't know. And then she always randomly brings up people, and she'll like get mad if I don't remember who they are. I'm like, you went to school with him like fucking 15 years ago. I don't know. But yeah. How's this person doing? I don't know. Who is that?
Yeah. My mom will do that occasionally. She'll be like, oh, I saw so-and-so. And I'm like, I don't even remember who that
Who is that?
Yeah. It's crazy how much more our parents remember.
I think it's probably because like around us, like around their kids. And so they're like, they just like latch on, especially like when we're younger.
Yeah.
They're just like,
yeah, you're there
stay
for like
this way.
Yeah,
they're like, I need to remember everything about this time because this is when they were nice and cute and enjoyable to
nice
be around.
And cute. Yeah, I actually wanted to be around. They weren't pieces of shit just yet. So
yeah,
I think we hung on to that a little bit more.
I do have one very distinct memory of like being around you when we were younger. I don't know what birthday it was.
Oh my God!
I still to this day reference that story.
Oh my God!
Every time somebody...
The Skittle? Oh my God!
Every time somebody offers me Skittles, I'm like, no thanks.
Oh my God!
I'd rather not.
Oh my God, I can picture it.
I reference that story like to this day. Like anytime somebody's like, do you want Skittles? And I'm like, no thank you.
Oh my God.
That
was intense.
That was...
True, I remember like...
I almost
died.
died.
Yeah. Yeah, legitimately.
Madagascar 2, I think it was.
Is that the movie you saw?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because I love that movie, but it harbors trauma for me.
Yeah, every time you watch it,
yeah.
Like, that fucking Skittle. For people who don't know, you wanna relive
that
the moment?
Was terrible. Oh my God, I scared the crap out of your mom. I remember her being like, "You scared the shit out of me."
Yeah.
So
I think we were legitimately like.
I mean,
okay,
all
we're
about
gonna take a breath.
Yeah, I don't remember how old we were or what party that was for you or how old, I don't know. And I don't even remember all who was there. I just know it was your party and I was there and I almost died. And so I think we must have like, were we dropped off at the theater or did we like hang out at your house beforehand or something?
I think we were at the theater.
Okay.
I think we were at the theater.
Yeah, so we were watching a movie and we like got all the snacks and stuff beforehand as one does.
Loaded up.
And I almost feel like I remember like the scene of which made me laugh of why I choked. I think it was when they were crashing. Maybe it was just Madagascar 1. I think they were crashing like in the airplane. And you know, when all that funny shit or whatever happens and they're all
I just remember you busting up and then it
and then
changed.
Death.
Yeah.
So I was laughing, and I don't know if I put a Skittle in my mouth while I was laughing, or if I put a Skittle in my mouth before I was laughing. But there was a Skittle in my mouth, and I was laughing, and in the laughter, I sucked the Skittle into my throat, and I was choking, and I couldn't get it down, but then I was also realizing I couldn't breathe, and I didn't want to scare anybody, and I didn't want to ruin your birthday. And so I remember I drank like Gatorade or a slushie. I drank something with color in it because I remember being traumatized. I remember being so scared that you were going to be pissed at me because it was a colored drink of some sort. And I remember I was like, I'm just going to drink it and it's going to go down and everything's going to be okay. That didn't happen. And so I upchugged like the liquid. The Skittle did not come out with it. And I think it went on your shoes. I think.
Oh, I don't remember that part. I just remember looking at you and the fear in your eyes, and then me being so afraid, like, I don't know what is happening, but I know it's not
and
good.
I think your mom was like a couple of rows back, like to try and give the kids like their time or whatever. Yeah, like to not cramp our style or whatever.
Oh my God.
And I don't remember getting from like the bathroom. Like I don't remember getting from the theater to the bathroom, but your mom had me. And she took me to the bathroom, and she's beating me on my back, like trying to get this Skittle out of me. And then eventually it comes out, and like everything was fine, and I lived, obviously.
Thank God. Death by Skittle is a little rough.
And then I came back and I finished the movie
like a champ.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything about that birthday party other than that moment that I explicitly remember because again, caring what people think about me, I remember spitting up, and I remember I either saw it go on your shoes or I thought it went on your shoes, and I was like, oh my God, I ruined your shoes. Like I was so concerned about
That's your thought.
Yeah.
Mid choke, your thought is, oh my God, the shoes.
That I ruined your shoes and you were gonna be mad and like you were never gonna talk to me again. I was so upset.
God.
I was so concerned, and then
I never heard that part of the story.
Yeah, your mom was just like, you scared the shit out of me, girlfriend. I remember she said girlfriend to me. She said, you scared the shit out of me, girlfriend. I said, I'm so sorry. I remember feeling bad because
God, I don't even remember how like it got like anything after that. I just remember laughing and then looking at you and just seeing the fear in your eyes and like being paralyzed by that and be like, I don't know what.
I don't know how your mom like knew that there was anything happening or any. I don't know how she was summoned or what happened, but she got to me.
Mother's intuition. She just knew something's not right here.
She got to me, thank God. But yeah, that was fun.
Scared the shit out. I remember like I can feel the emotion of just being like, what? Like I don't know what to do. What is happening here? Oh man. God, that is so funny. You remembered that.
We'll always have the Skittle.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I remember that to this day. I think about that every time I see Skittles.
Oh, my God.
Like, the trauma.
You have to talk to your therapist about that. Be like, listen, we need to
something came
unpack
up for
something
me today.
deep. I remembered it. It was a little intense. Oh, my God. We were so young.
We had to have been, like, in Cutton.
I think it was elementary school.
It had to have been Cutton.
Because I don't think... 3rd grade?
Probably something. Because it probably was, it might have even, it had to have been at least 3rd grade. Because I'm trying to think if had I fallen at that point yet? I think it might have been like 3rd grade. Yeah, probably like early 3rd grade.
We were young.
Yeah.
We were young. We were young enough where I was like, I have no idea what the hell.
Maybe it was after that. I'm just trying to think like in reference of like when I fell and like got like my scar on my on my face, because I fell in 3rd grade, so I was trying to think of like when it was. Maybe it was after that. I don't remember. We were young.
How did you fall? Why do I feel like I remember that?
I was in 3rd. I don't know if you were there. I feel like you would have remembered if
I feel like
there was blood everywhere.
Because I remember like I don't know, but I feel like I don't know.
There was blood everywhere, so I would.
Was it at school?
Yeah, it was after hours.
I feel like
it was after school.
there for that.
I think James Harper was there.
Because you said your scar and I like struck something in me, and I was like, why do I know?
Yeah.
Why did I know that? Like, where did that come from?
I was sitting on the bars that we would spin on all the time and shit.
On the playground.
Reckless shit. Yeah.
Kid shit.
Yeah. And because my mom would let me play after school, and I was sitting there, and I shit you not, a gust of wind hit me, and I lost my fucking balance, and I fell, and I hit my head on the pole that was going into the ground, and I thought that I just, like, bumped it, because it wasn't hurting really bad, it just was like, oh, that didn't feel good, and then my mom, like, got out of the car, because all the kids, like, rushed around me, they were like, oh my god, and then she was like, look at me, and then I looked at her, and I, like, have my hand on my face, like, right here, and she's like, take your hands away, and I remember looking down, and it was like a horror movie. I was like, ah! Like, my hands are covered in blood, my face is busted open. Yeah, I had to go to the hospital and get stitches. That was cool. Mr. Franklin was my teacher. Was Mr. Franklin your teacher in 3rd grade?
No. I think I had Philby for 3rd grade. I think I had Philby again for 3rd grade.
Yeah, I had Franklin, and I remember he was like, do you have this shirt that you wore? And I was like, yeah, it was my favorite shirt. It was my favorite shirt. And it was covered in blood now. And he was like, you can bring it in if you want to. And I was like, fuck yeah! And so I brought in this bloody shirt.
Oh my god.
With stitches in my face. Yeah, I was cool for 15 seconds. Never again.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I think I might have been there for that. I have like a vague memory of it, but it's not clear.
Fun times.
Oh man. God, I feel old thinking about that. That makes me feel so old.
Right? Super weird.
Oh my god.
Fun times.
What a life. What just a crazy time.
Yeah. That was
what a crazy time.
The worst I got injured, I guess. I've never broken anything.
Next to the Skittle near death moment.
Right.
You know?
Right. I relived that later in life because I choked again on something and I had to go to the hospital.
Another Skittle?
No, beans.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
You know, things that you should chew before you swallow?
Might help.
Apparently, I don't have that ability.
Okay. You just wanted to test it out and be like, okay, a Skittle got me. Maybe a bean can get by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that I could do it.
Oh, didn't work out. Oh.
No.
Okay.
But now I know I have a dairy allergy. So, you know, things, that's good. Yeah, ebb and flow.
Wow. I guess that's a good trade-off. Almost choking on a bean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. I choked on a bean and then I could still breathe. So I guess I didn't choke.
It got like stuck.
Yeah, but like below my windpipe. So I could still breathe, but I couldn't swallow anything, like including my own saliva for like 4 hours. So that was cool. So I had to go to the hospital and they tried to like give me muscle relaxers and stuff and it wasn't happening. And so I had to get put under and they had to like go in with a little camera and get the beans
and pull it out. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and they were like, her throat's super inflamed. We're going to run some allergy tests. And I was like, well, I have been sticking my finger down my throat trying to vomit for the past 4 hours.
That could be why.
They were like, well, just in case. And thank God, and good thing they did because they were like, oh yeah, you have a really severe dairy allergy. That's probably why your throat's all swollen. I was like,
oh, whoa.
Cool.
Good to know.
That was 7th grade. 7th grade was rough. They were like, you have a dairy allergy. And then those scoliosis tests, they were like, yeah, you got that.
Scoliosis?
Yeah,
too?
really like minor scoliosis, but they were like, got that. Everybody thought that was weird.
Not bad enough for the surgery though, right?
No, not at all. But just everybody was like, ew.
Kids are so weird.
Yeah, right?
Like, why is that
I can't help it.
Yeah. Oh, I made my spine curvy. My bad. Was messing around one day. I thought it'd be cool. Turns out it's not.
No, it's not. It's a serious issue. But yeah, so they were like, you have a dairy allergy. Yeah, I found out that I have minor scoliosis that same year. And then they were like, while we're at it, we'll just run all these other tests. You have asthma and you need glasses.
Oh my God.
So yeah, 7th grade was cool.
Wow.
That was my golden year.
Oh my God.
But I haven't had any discovered issues after that. So.
Well, you got them all out of the way.
Yeah, I got them all out of the way.
That's a plus.
In 1 year. So I'm good to go. So
damn. Okay.
Yep, I avoid dairy now. I
avoid Skittles.
I don't run heavily without an inhaler on me, and I wear contacts.
Bam.
And I don't eat Skittles.
Damn. Okay.
That's all you really needed to know about me.
Yeah, that's why I invited you on. I had a few key points I wanted to hit. The Skittle, The dairy, that was new.
And then,
that was good.
Yeah, and then I'll get out of your hair.
Damn. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess on that note, I guess we can wrap. I mean, we've done like 2.5 hours.
Okay.
I don't know how long you had. Do you want to plug anything? Sometimes people plug like their social media. Do you have? But that's Do you have any parting words?
I mean, I wouldn't mind being more popular on social media, but I'm not gonna do that. I guess my parting words would be therapy's for everybody. Everybody should be willing to try it. And you know, as awkward as you might feel trying to have a conversation with somebody you haven't had with 14 or 15 years, it could turn out to be really fun.
Oh,
so
good. Okay, good. All right.
No, I'm having a good time. This was really, really cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed, if nothing else, just catching up with you.
Of course.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's what my mom was like, what are you going to talk about? And I was like, I guess we're just going to shoot the shit and figure out what's been going on.
Yeah, I was not 14 years, I was like, I'm sure we can think of something to talk about. Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's been a long time.
I know.
It's good to see you again.
I know. Yeah, you too.
I'm down to, if you are ever looking for somebody, I'm down.
Yeah, we'll have to go. I haven't met your boyfriend. We'll have to go grab a drink or something when COVID is not as COVID.
When COVID's not a thing.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Hopefully we'll be soon.
Yeah, he's fun. I don't know if he has pretty bad like social anxiety, so we'll see.
No. Oh, no.
Another way that we're completely opposite. Like, I'll talk to fucking anybody, and he's like, no,
he's
thank you.
No,
I'd rather
I'm
not.
okay.
No, thanks. So, yeah, he's a trip, though. But, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. Seriously, thank you again.
Yeah,
I
of course.
really enjoyed talking with you and playing catch up.
Yeah, this was super fun. I'm glad I like being on the podcast again. It's fun.
Awesome.
It's super fun.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.